people are like, SaaS is going away. It's like, actually, no, it's not. Like, we're not going to have Jarvis tomorrow, right? And it's not going to go build UIs for you. We're going to have more SaaS, and those things are going to be awesome because we're not going to have to use them. Like, newsflash, actually, most software is subpar. The reasons why you hate the tools you use the most is because of that, right? You know all the flaws. Most tools have flaws, right?
Welcome to Founder Fridays, where we sit down with builders who've been in the trenches to talk shop, product, design, and the real lessons no one puts on a slide deck. I'm Josh Kim, leading B2B Growth Marketing at Notion. Today's guest is Tim Dalrymple. He's a veteran growth marketer who spent his time at Notion and Webflow before founding Roadway, the first AI growth marketing coworker to unlock faster and more efficient revenue growth. Tim, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Well, let's just jump right into it. So, first of all, I want to congratulate you on the official launch of Roadway this week. Um, for the listeners at home, in one sentence, how do you explain Roadway and who exactly is it for right now?
Roadway is for growth marketers. At the core of it, we're an attribution platform, and this week we launched the first AI platform for growth marketing teams. So, enabled by that attribution platform, we help you figure out what's working, what's not, and what to do next in order to scale and optimize.
When you think about, rewinding the clock and going to the very beginning, what was the specific problem or opportunity you saw that really sparked the idea for Roadway?
It's no secret that attribution is how your business grows, right? Like anybody that's gone through Reforge and has built a growth model, it starts with acquisition loops, right? And we'd build these models like you and I did at Notion and like we did at Webflow. And then they would go stale after 2 weeks and we wouldn't measure the things in the ways that we designed this growth model. It wasn't until we realized that with these new AI models and their ability to not only understand the data when it's presented to them in a much more structured way, but with the context to help the team live in the numbers, right? And as you and I know, the difference between a good and great growth marketer is somebody that does live in the numbers, right? And it's why hiring somebody internally is so much more effective than hiring an agency, right? Like building that understanding and nuance and intuition for like what could work and what doesn't, and like trying new things, right?
Yeah, I mean, you and I have talked so much about how access to data is like the constant thorn in a growth marketer's side. And so any tool or platform or like hack or like skill level up that one of us can acquire is a true unlock for productivity and also impact. What was the first sign of true customer proof that validated your initial vision?
I'd actually say it didn't come with like the initial when we onboarded you to that initial product, like that was kind of a swing and a miss from a where we provided value perspective because we built it when I was there, right? And so we are like, let's just ingest what Tim built, and it made us like another BI tool versus us taking in all that raw data and organizing it and giving you a real attribution model, deduplicated across channels, all that different stuff. So there was like this period of like not only solving the core problems of attribution, but also building like the table stakes full suite of analytics so that people could use that data, right? Even though that's not like the core product. All that's happening while we're figuring out how to build these, I hate the word agents, but agents, right, that like are using the product. And so it started with these just kind of like understanding the chart on the page and showing you like what the trends are. Then it started to be able to use the tool and do it on like the chart level. But growth marketers care about full funnel, right? They have a goal metric, they have guardrails, they have funnels, right? And so that's where kind of like this platform came from. And now people can go in and build these things self-serve. And so I mean, I don't think we've fully cracked it yet. I think that we have a long way to go.
When you think about who you are as a founder, and leveraging your previous experience, what skills do you think transferred well and became superpowers and which ones didn't?
And I think in general, like I don't feel it in the day to day because it's just what I know. But like I see other founders struggle with it and understanding like really what they should be doing in growth marketing, right? Like getting your first 100 customers is very different than going from 100 to 1,000, right? And like what you should be doing to get ahead of getting to 1,000 while you're still getting those first 100. I have been doing for a year, right? Like planting seeds in
Mm.
certain areas in SEO to understand where we should focus. Or like, I joined Webflow at seed stage, but like I joined Notion when what was it, like Series C, right? And like we were just planting those seeds then, right? And like so understanding like these long cycle channels, and I think you probably get this more with second time founders is like I just know distribution is king, right? And so like you know it's not as intense as Cluely where attention is the product, but we are definitely like you know planting seeds earlier than most in areas that are compounding growth loops versus just kind of things that are going to like spike us to the next 15 or 20 or 100 customers, right? It's like, how do we make sure that there's an engine built on this?
There's tons of teams out there that are building with AI right now. Uh, from your perspective, what are the trends you're seeing in how these teams are thinking about distribution versus what you were doing during your time at Notion, Webflow, and before that?
I think there are a lot of teams that are rightfully rethinking how they should be doing things, but I think there's a lot of panic. People are seeing traffic and SEO flatten out, right? Yet not tracking AI search as its own traffic source to understand if, organic search as a whole is going down, which in most cases it's actually not. And while the consideration phase that might have happened on your website from traditional search is happening in a canvas with ChatGPT now, um, the core principles are not changing. The tactics might. So AI search is SEO. People are searching for things. OpenAI used to literally have a button below the chat box that said search you could turn on, right? It's using Google search and traditional search. You are searching for a solution like you would in Google search. It is searching Google for that. People are making content to fulfill those searches, right? We are just getting more platforms that are compounding growth loops. People are still going to create content within there. The tactics will change, right? Like these AEO tools will soon start to reveal very heavily that things like
Hmm.
Reddit as a verification source and G2 and all these different things are just weighed a little bit more heavily than traditional search, but they still rely on like these ranking algorithm type signals to understand what is important. So I don't know exactly if there's any teams that are doing anything like super unique. I think the teams that are experimenting without worrying about evidence in this messy middle are going to be the ones that win on the other side. The curious will win.
You mentioned that you see a lot of panic right now, right? And I'd imagine, in someone in your position, it's like you can't help but see everything that's going on, whether it's on LinkedIn, Twitter, and just seeing all the tools and tactics and strategies that are out there and all the things that are not working anymore, or at least on the surface. When you talk to founders and when you talk to growth teams, what's your advice for them and how they should be navigating uh, this landscape that seems to be shifting under their feet?
I think a lot of the panic comes from FOMO, mostly because the people that are panicking aren't using the tools. Like if you go and someone's like, "Oh my gosh, this tool is going to replace that," and you actually try the tool, you will quickly learn it's not replacing that. People that are experimenting and sticking to the core principles of like, "Hey, like in SEO, we do programmatic things. How can we make that work in AI search?" Right? Like taking those core principles within growth marketing and growth loops and applying them to these new tactics are the people that are going to win. I really believe that like it's not hard to use these tools. And the more like founders, and I think a lot of founders use these tools, and that's why they give those directives, right? So when people are like, SaaS is going away, it's like, actually, no, it's not. Like, we're not going to have Jarvis tomorrow, right? And it's not going to go build UIs for you. We're going to have more SaaS, and those things are going to be awesome because we're not going to have to use them. Like newsflash, actually most software is subpar. The reasons why you hate the
Hmm.
tools you use the most is because of that, right? You know all the flaws. Most tools have flaws, right? If AIs use them and not us, we don't have to worry about that.
I think one of the narratives I see is that the barrier to building your product, growing it, experimenting with it, scaling it is, the smallest it's ever been. how much do you think channel expertise and marketing expertise really matters right now? And will we ever reach a point where it won't?
Expertise is going to be extremely like the more narrow expertise is going to be extremely valuable in the future because I don't think any of these general models will go down that path, number one. And then number two, like you will get these SaaS products like Roadway that do these things more generally for growth marketing very, very well. But maybe like, for example, it'll never be as good as me. And so like there's these little things where I actually think specialty is going to become even more important. The barrier to building things is going down, but the barrier to quality is going up. And I think it seems like the barrier to growing is going down because we're seeing companies that are growing at faster paces than ever. But I think it's more that just adoption happens faster now, right? Because we have these scaled platforms where ChatGPT can go viral and get millions of signups in hours, right? Like that didn't exist when Facebook started, right? And if Facebook launched in 2023 and there was another platform as big as Facebook or Twitter, maybe it would have, right? And so like I think we figured out how to monetize. Like we've been building the infrastructure of the web for all these years. They're building the AI agents to use that infrastructure rather than us needing to rebuild it.
I totally agree with like the sentiment that, I think expertise matters now more than ever because I think what we'll see is with everyone, you know, believing that they can be a marketer or a product marketer or a growth person or someone to operate in figuring out distribution, we're going to see a lot of low quality strategies out there. And so, when you think about a tool like Roadway, how does that fit into a growth marketer's tool stack when they're navigating that?
We can just help people move at 10x the speed and actually do that 100% of work, maybe even more, right? It's not like we
Hmm.
had too many growth marketers before, right? Like I get hit up 4 times a day. Hey, we're hiring a head of growth marketing. Hey, we're hiring our first growth marketer. Do you know anyone good? Like I know a lot of growth marketers. I don't have enough people in the world to fill all those roles, right? Let alone ones that like I really trust, right? And so I think like it'll just help not only these people move faster, but I think like the very specialized people will get better at becoming growth marketers full stack.
What I see is AI can be a true like turbo boost for operators, whether it's marketers, engineers, product people, etc. Um, but I think the downside case is that it can also create a lot of lost time. If the training isn't right and if uh, people aren't equipped with the right way to use the tools properly. So for Roadway's example, like what do you do to ensure that your customers, the teams that are using it in a way that's actually effective in driving productivity and, time savings or, you know, uh, increases in speed to impact?
I think this is a big problem. Like I think like people talk about the J curve of like investing in AI infrastructure before like we get profits, right? Like I think there's a J curve for like quality because so many people are relying on AI and AI lies so often right now that like something that I could do in 20 minutes, I'm spending 55 minutes on because I'm arguing with the AI because it lied to me 3 times. Right? Like I think that happens a lot. Like everybody I talk to, even that are using Cursor with Claude and stuff, right? Like it happens a lot, right? And so I do think there's like a big issue there. And our AI started 100, like our growth marketing coworker platform started 100% like AI. And so over time, it's become probably about 50%. And a lot of that is just taking actual math done in like JSON format and putting it into like human readable format because like we just need to make sure that the math is exactly right when you're analyzing data. So a lot of people are like unstructured data and huge context windows and long context reasoning is the solve to like really anything. They're going to do everything for us. We don't believe that. We think that structured data and the right context is what leads to actual outcomes, right? And so within our growth marketing coworker platform, we have like these sub agents that have specialties, right? They have their own context, they have their own data that is passed to that call. It is just as important of leaving out context as it is putting in. I really think that like we're going to start to see that the effectiveness comes not from increasing these context windows, but really like figuring out how to get the most useful context and data to these calls, right? AI should be
Hmm.
invisible, right? Like there shouldn't be an AI feature. It should just be like something that does it for you in that specific workflow and it's great at it.
All right. So I want to switch gears. Um, let's talk about Roadway's tools and how your team uses AI. So if we kind of get under the hood of, you know, how you keep the team at Roadway super efficient and shipping fast, what's one tool, workflow, or ritual that's really increased your team's velocity this year?
Obviously, Cursor on the engineering team. And on Monday, our CTO gave a demo of how he's moving even faster than Cursor with Claude Code. Um, but I would actually say the key to us moving fast is probably more that we have true owners of projects who become effectively the dictators of the project. That's how you move fast, right? Like we're not seeking consensus, we're seeking input, and whoever the project owner is drives that. We have like a disagree and commit kind of culture, right? Like if that person
Mm.
was the best person to run it and they have gotten all the input and they think this is the best call, make that call. If you disagree, voice it, right? But disagree and commit if they say, nope, we're going forward, right? And so if you make a mistake, admit it, fix it, move on.
You're operating with a team of six, right?
Yeah.
We were operating with a much bigger team across many functions, across lots of cross-functional stakeholders and collaborators. And so there's a bit more like check-ins, getting
Yeah.
feedback, inputs. Um, but I think the difference is that if you're setting the expectation at the very beginning to say like, no, like I want you to move fast. I want you to seek input, not consensus. That makes all the difference from the get-go.
It's more about we just worked hard with the executive team to give ourselves breathing room to try things. I think that's kind of what we do at Roadway, like that version of that inside of like a larger organization of just like, hey, like how do we get things done? Right? And it's not like
Hmm.
trying to convince everybody to be on your side, right? It's like, hey, maybe you're right. And we're going to ship this. And if you're right, we'll roll it back and we'll do it again, right? Like we're going to be able to ship those two things faster. And I'm going to be able to convince you if this is right.
Yeah, no, I get that. I know that internally you guys use Notion.
We do.
Um, how does your team i- integrate Notion into your daily ops? What does that workflow look like?
We use AI in like every tool, right? So like everybody has ChatGPT and all those different things. We obviously have Cursor, right? But like we use Notion AI. We actually use Notion much more extensively in the beginning than we did like almost in product, right? And we still use it for like our onboarding docs for customers to like help them spec out and things like that. I kind of took the model from what we did at Notion, right? Like all of our documents are all public inside of our Notion. Everybody can access them, right? And so it's like very transparent. But then we also have a ton of public docs. Like part of our website is built in Notion, like our careers page and things like that, just for like ease of editing and things like that. I mean, it's our whole suite. It's like our what we used to use Google Drive for.
So I want to wrap up with our advice block. We're gonna ask a couple rapid fire questions to get founder wisdom from you. So three quick hits. First is, let's say, what's one hard won lesson that's helped you build better?
Nothing is easy, and you just have to keep going. Maybe a little vague, but truly. And then I would say, like, I mean, related to that, like, action leads to more action, right? Like, you just need to do things. When you are on a timer, when you go raise a pre-seed or seed round, shots on goal matters, right? That's why, like, this, like, DRI dictator matters, right? In moving quickly, because if you're constantly trying to have consensus, if you're constantly trying to please everyone, you're not going to have as many shots on goal, right? You're just going to
Mm,
constantly debate each other. There's a million different ways. Anybody can find anecdotes to like pull you down any different direction.
that's a great piece of advice. Okay. And one more. What is your single best piece of advice for a day one founder, especially in this AI era?
I go back to the same thing. Like it's not going to be easy. Just keep going. Like you hear all these things about the barriers lower, like distribution is easier than ever. Cursor got to 500 million in 9 months. Yeah, well, Cursor launched on Hacker News 6 times before they got picked up, right? Like you never hear these things in the background. The builders that I respect most are like the Ivans of the world, the ones that had to grind for 7 years before anything. You just got to keep going. Action leads to more action, right? Like have conviction. Don't go searching for like what might resonate with someone. It's going to be hard no matter what. Just keep going.
Let's say you were to relaunch Roadway with all the lessons and experience you've gained over the last couple of years, and you're doing that tomorrow. What would you do differently?
When we launched, we were focused on warehouse native. And so we did it that way because I was like, that's what they need eventually, right? Well, I didn't realize the demand that we would have for just like, we want to get up and running very quickly with these data connectors. And so I probably would have started with a little bit less conviction on one specific ICP that like was at a certain stage and stick to that. That said, like it did allow us to be a little bit more flexible. And then I think in general, like launching with a more narrow ICP is just like an answer to your first general question, what would I do tomorrow? Right? Like we are much more focused on B2B SaaS right now. Specifically, we thrive within PLG and like hybrid motions, right? And so in the beginning, we did and I think it was needed to do these experiments. So I don't know if I would do it differently. And that's why I didn't say it at first. But like we had like big consumer brands that came to us that were like marketplaces and like all these different things. We're like, yeah, we can do it because we can. But like,
Hmm.
can we get to repeatability and like people that love us amazingly? Like if we focus on all those, no. And so we actually went through this thing called First Harmonic, uh, that poster, right? And that's all about like narrowing your ICP. And that was just a game changer. And, that was a year and a half into the company, right? And so I don't know. I mean, maybe I would have done that sooner, but I think we probably still would have done those experiments, right? To understand where that was. And like we are still going to eventually expand into more of the B2C and the marketplaces and the e-commerce and things like that, right? And so I'll leave it there.
All right, Tim. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
This
man.
is great.
Have a great weekend.
See you soon.